How do you beat Time Dragons? Time Dragons have been reigning supreme. A few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago, Japan held a tournament where it is a 2-deck format where all players bring 2 decks to play with. Almost all participants brought Time Dragons. If it wasn't for the 2-deck format, I am quite sure that it'll be a Time Dragon tournament, so I guess that gives a very good picture of how dominant Time Dragon was. Well, there are a few ways to beat Time Dragon. The first, most effective way, in my opinion, to beat Time Dragons, or actually any deck, is to deny them of resources. Resource denial. Denying your opponent's resources will undoubtedly make your opponent hard to play the game. There's a reason Abstract was banned. It is also the main reason the Legend Dragon player won against Dimension Dragons in the World Tournament Finals. The Legend Dragon player constantly nullifies the Dimension Dragon player's monster abilities and also nullifying their spells, rendering them unable to play the game even at all. The strategy of denying your opponent of resources include doing things like earlier explained: prevent them from using effects, nullifying abilities, and nullifying their spells, taking their gauge, discarding their hand, basically messing with their stuff a lot. The main Time Dragon cards that give them resources include Langu and Omega. If your opponent calls them, do your best to destroy those cards or nullify their abilities before their abilities trigger, especially Langu, because this card not only gives them draws, but also reduces gauge costs. Discarding cards is also a preferred strategy, but since Buddyfighters Without Limits came out, this strategy is not as effective as it is back then, like when it was used with the Idol Master deck, Kirari and Anzu. Another way to defeat Time Dragons is burn damage, or dealing damage straight to your opponent's face. It's also one of the most effective ways to defeat Time Dragons because they actually don't have any anti-burn cards. So maybe decks like Imperial Corpse can defeat Time Dragons maybe quite easily, provided they don't get disrupted. Lastly, an effective way to beat Time Dragons is to make your things untouchable. And you gotta win fast before they get to Overgod 0. Time Dragon wins by controlling your board, nullifying your abilities and nullifying your cards and sending them to the bottom, destroying your cards, resting your cards, and ending the battle phase, all to ensure they can successfully go to Overgod 0 and win. If you can manage to make your cards 1. Unnullifiable, 2. Have Soul Guard, so even when Time Ruler's effect activates, they don't leave the field right away, 3. Unrestable, but still able to deal a lot of damage with high criticals, 4. Indestructible, 5. Have an anti-phase ender or a spell nullifier, 6. And of course, a high amount of damage output. If you have all of those, you have a chance of beating Time Dragons, because Time Dragons' disruptions will not work on you. You might think all those requirements lead to, well, Ultimate Garga, which actually isn't unusual, considering Time Dragon and Garga are supposed to be answering each other. Garga itself gives an anti-nullifying ability for the whole board, and the new item has souls that, when paired with Garga, Time Ruler won't be able to get rid of any of them. Garga also has an anti-rest and an anti-phase ender in the form of a spell. Granted, Garga is not the only deck that is able to beat Time Dragons. Evil Demonic Dragons are also a pretty damn good deck against Time Dragons, because not only do they have an anti-null and rest, they can end their opponent in one attack with 666 crits. Even if they target Belial with Time Ruler's ability, in which it will be sent to the bottom of the deck, they can have the new Belial ready on hand to call over the targeted Belial, thus mistargeting the effect, and the effect won't resolve. Not to mention that the new Belial also gives the whole field 666 crits, increasing the chances of OTKing the Time Dragon player. Even if Evil Demonic Dragons gets face-ended, they also have their impact that deals 666 damage. For now, the best ones to combat against Time Dragons are, of course, Ultimate Garga and Evil Demonic Dragons. But future sets have decks like Mirror Heroes that are also a great counter for Time Dragons, since they do their things in the final phase. This greatly hinders Time Dragon's ability to control, because Time Ruler's ability activates in the beginning of the battle phase, and Chronos and Blockend can also only be cast during the attack phase. And more good news, the new set, Super Buddy Wars EX, will have a new generic spell that actually counters Time Dragon's removal, and also has a nice anti-burn effect that is used by meta decks in Japan as of right now. So with that, any deck that can run generics will be able to be immune against Time Dragon's removals. So I guess the future isn't so bleak since there will be counters to time dragons. So those are just my ideas to beat time dragons. Comment down below if you know any other strategies. As always, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Thank you.